Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and Scott Jennings doesn't just run circles around the CNN panel, he makes sure they fully understand what's actually happening with the dialogue after the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Let's dive in.
In the wake of his death, some of his allies are supporting an effort to punish people who celebrate his murder online by trying to get them fired from their jobs. Critics have argued the movement is against Kirk's free speech advocacy, but it hasn't stopped some employers from taking action here. We've seen several of the nation's major airlines like Delta, American, and United suspending employees over their social media posts. NASDAQ and the NFL's Carolina Panthers also fired people, as well as a number of public school districts and universities. Obviously, any celebration over someone's murder is disgusting, and it's clearly wrong. Do you think it's a fireable offense?
Well, I think it's up to every institution to decide what kind of people they want working there. I mean, in the case of some of these universities, they're taking taxpayer money. So taxpayers of, say, Tennessee or South Carolina are funding universities who then employ people who cannot control their emotions enough to stop themselves from going online and celebrating and glorifying a political assassination. Beyond that, these people in education institutions, we entrust them to teach students, to teach our children. And I'll be honest with you, if I thought there was a teacher teaching my children who had it in their heart that maybe we ought to tell the kids political assassination is justified in some case, I would want them gone immediately. So, no, I'm not going to lose any sleep or cry any tears for people who harbor this violence in their heart and who can't control their emotions enough, long enough to not go online and tell the world about it.
Jamal, what do you make of the comments that we're seeing from the vice president and others on this?
You know, Caitlin, I think there's a difference between someone criticizing Charlie Kirk's views or someone celebrating his murder. I don't know that there are that many people who are really celebrating the murder. I mean, maybe there's some of them who are, and they're discussing it. They do.
There definitely are some people.
Yeah.
I guess the question is how many there are. And, you know, I mean, we've seen some of the posts. These people have gotten fired.
Sure. And I think, you know, I posted online that we should give people time to grieve. I think it's a very difficult time to have a fact-based conversation with people who are in emotional pain. And so it's okay to say, listen, let Charlie's friends and family have a few days to grieve his memory. We will have a lot of time to talk about what it is he believed and go through his beliefs. And those people like me who disagree with him vehemently in person and online believe like we will have that discussion about Charlie's beliefs.
And Scott, you know, I was thinking about this as we were just talking to Senator Tina Smith of Minnesota, because when Melissa and Mark Hortman were murdered in their home, we saw Senator Mike Lee kind of making light of it on Twitter, and Senator Smith actually confronted him in the hallway about it because she thought the posts were so inappropriate, and basically argued, you know, that the position he's in, that he should not be posting things like that in the wake of someone's death, someone's murder.
Yeah, look, I think when someone is murdered, particularly for those of us who are political actors and we're in the political system, when someone's murdered, and for whatever reason, I don't know exactly what the motivations were of the guy in Minnesota. It sounds like he had some mental problems. But whatever, it doesn't really matter. We should say, this is wrong. People should not be murdered. People who are in public service should not have to fear being murdered. And people like Charlie Kirk, who were doing nothing more than engaging in what we always say we should do, talk to each other and engage in civil discourse, they should not have to fear violent reprisals. That's what everyone should say. But in the case of these people who are being fired from their jobs, I mean, you know, we're kind of tiptoeing around it here, but, you know, I can read some of them out loud if you want. These people were not online saying, well, I disagree with Charlie Kirk. They were online saying the world is better off without him. They were online saying, you know, his wife, in this case, she's a sick F word for marrying him. I don't care about her feelings. We're better off living in a world without a disgusting psychopath. That's who we're talking about here. And I'll tell you one more thing that's on my mind tonight, and conservatives everywhere. The idea that people are saying, well, he was an extremist, or he was a racist, or he was a Nazi, or a misogynist, whatever. Therefore, we could get around to rationalizing it. Charlie Kirk was a mainstream conservative Republican. He had views that are held by tens of millions of people, including more than half the country in the last election. So if you're online saying this is justified, what you're actually saying is half the country I live in, there's some justification to commit violence or murder against them. And that's what is concerning about the people who were doing this. And that's why I don't think anybody is losing any sleep about these folks not being able to teach our children.
Scott Jennings is 100% correct. We are not losing any sleep whatsoever now that the shoe is on the other foot. What we're currently seeing right now is something that's been, I think, unprecedented in American history. I have never seen conservatives stop being sympathetic. Not until this year, and this is the final nail in that coffin. Here's what I mean. Robert Redford passed away this morning, September 16th, 2025. Normally, when someone who has been as outspoken as he has been, and such a prolific actor, you would think that even conservatives would come out and say, well, he lived a full life, he was a great actor, really appreciated his work in cinema. I haven't seen that anywhere today. I've seen it nowhere. Now, it's not the best example, but what we're starting to notice is we've had enough. We have been silenced, deplatformed, canceled, kicked to the curb. We've lost our jobs in many cases. We tried to stand up against the lockdowns. Guess who won that battle? We've tried to share stories that's the truth. Guess the CIA and the FBI told Silicon Valley, hey, you shouldn't allow people to post these stories. We've been screamed at and spat at by mobs. We have had vile, rabid leftists scream in our faces, hoping that we somehow just drop dead. We have had all these young, crazy people, Antifa members, try to drum up riots. And we're just supposed to take it in stride. Well, what a surprise. Fed Chair Jerome Powell has just fueled hopes for a rate cut. And of course, the price of gold moved higher. Safe haven assets like gold and silver tend to get higher when rates are cut. And that's exactly why I have partnered with the award-winning company Goldco. They sell precious metals like gold and silver, and they do an amazing job with it because they keep it simple. So if you are ready to learn how Goldco can help protect your savings with gold and silver, I want you to go to politibrawlgold.com. You can get a free 2025 gold and silver kit. Plus, you can learn how to get a 10% back on silver for free. It's literally the best silver offer on the market. So don't miss this one. That's politibrawlgold.com. Again, visit politibrawlgold.com to protect your savings. And now, the best man to go out there and combat the nonsense, who went to the colleges and said, I think you're being brainwashed, here's why. Steven Crowder couldn't do it this well. Others have tried, others have failed to do what Charlie Kirk does. And then they've realized, oh, this dude's legit. This dude loves doing this. He cares about the truth. And they shot him anyways. We've had enough of watching our children be indoctrinated in front of our very eyes. We've had enough of coming home looking at their curriculums and saying, wait a minute, you had a what? Queen story hour? In the library? What book were you told to check out? We have seen the nonsense at our elementary schools. We have seen it when we go out to eat. We keep on hearing it and seeing it on social media. We've seen the dances. We've seen the memes. Of course, there's that awful depiction of protect your neck with a giant hole gushing from Charlie Kirk's neck made into a t-shirt. We've had enough. So I don't care when these people who are supposed to be entrusted with providing care, nurses, lawyers, and even teachers, they're all, a lot of, sorry, I was about to say they're all. There's a lot of them that are celebrating this. I even called out a friend of mine who has said some very dumb things on her timeline. I even sent a heartfelt message saying, you have got to be careful about what you say. Her response, I don't care. I am going to keep advocating for what I do. I do not care that this has happened. I think we've had enough. There is no reasoning with the left. There is no way, and I'm talking about the far left. We can talk to other American liberals. We can talk to neighbors that have been voting Democrat their entire lives. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the insane, crazy rhetoric that the online left keeps spewing. Folks like Destiny, he might be facing charges for what he has said during this whole time. There's famous online guys like not Mehdi Hassan, although he's no bueno either, but Hassan Piker, who is the #1 Twitch streamer, has been caught multiple times having direct calls for threats of violence. And we're supposed to sit here, allow it to happen, and then people like Caitlin Collins are going to turn right back around and ask, well, what about this time when you said nothing? If you're referring to the the Minnesota assassinations where a deranged Tim Walz supporter with just a wild manifesto with nothing really ever making any sense whatsoever. And you mean to tell me that I need to speak up about that I have to speak up for this, even though this story has been out of the news for forever. Mainly because the mainstream media felt uncomfortable talking about this because of the direct connections with Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota and almost vice president of the United States. Whew. And we're supposed to sit there and just say, well, no, we need to be silent. We need to say that your freedom of speech matters. It does. It does. I hated cancel culture from the moment it came out, when it officially started with the Me Too movement. And Me Too movement did do a couple of good things here and there. But the cancel culture created by the left here in the United States reached a fever pitch. And I've known people in my circles that lost a whole lot, all because they dared speak up against the main narrative. They have their lives today. Charlie Kirk doesn't. So yeah, I think the time for being nice to everyone, I think that's over. And I even think that a lot of Democrats have realized, oh no, what did we just do? After years of enabling people, particularly in the Antifa style communities, Antifa. For some reason, I never pronounce that right. Democrats have been enabling rhetoric from those kinds of people for a while. They echo it as close as they can without sounding crazy. It's time to start calling out the nonsense. And there's a lot of nonsense that deserves to be called out. And Caitlin Collins' whataboutism isn't going to fly here. Scott Jennings is 100% correct. And we have reached a turning point, I believe, in the way political discourse occurs in this country. This sort of violence deserves to be condemned, not celebrated. And people who do celebrate, well, there's a reason about 1,000 people have been fired. And we're not losing sleep over any of it. But that's what I think. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. My name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed this segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Until then, y'all have a good one.